Hi guys, I am pretty excited by the upcoming stream of voice driven applications, and to test them out I just quickly made a simple spelling test application where you can say a word and then it asks you to guess the spelling and validates it. And I didn't use any fancy cutting edge libraries, voice driven libraries. For the first cut, I just used plain old speech recognition, Python, and TTS libraries, and the app works fine. Although there are several drawbacks that I can already see. I was curious that where do these modern libraries like LiveKit and Pipecat, where do these exactly help? How can they help in improving my app? And particularly, how do LiveCat and Pipecat compare? When do you want to use either one? So I asked grok. ChatGPT wasn't pretty good at answering this question, so I asked grok. It has access to more recent data, it seems, and yeah. So that's what it says, that it can significantly. So I'm just going to quickly compare how these two libraries compare for speech-driven apps. First it talks about limitations of speech recognition by TTS X3, which I've been using, and says they're not optimized for ultra low latency real-time interactions. Okay, and also it has limited voice quality and naturalness. So that's to be expected. It's not as authentic as natural as the latest TTS engine. It works. Latency is reasonable though, so it's not bad for a first version. And scaling to handle multiple users. If you have to integrate advanced features like voice activity detection, noise suppression, or multimodal interactions, so when you start building, you at least VAD is something that you need to definitely include to understand where the user's speech finishes and where the AI has to respond, and other things are also needed. So good to know that VAD is there, and vendor lock-in, and same interruption handling, turn detection, and support for complex conversational flows. So these are three key things that are necessary when building conversational flows, voice-driven applications. Interruption handling, when the user interrupts while the AI is speaking. Turn detection, when the user stops speaking and AI has to take over. And flows, different that is common between text and voice applications. So why use LiveKit or Pipecat? Okay, so it gives a sort of detailed point-by-point analysis of LiveKit built on WebRTC, ultra low latency audio streaming. So streaming is the key primitive that these libraries operate on, and even with multiple users you have reduced latency. DeepGram's Nova 2 is one of the best in this category for a speech to text, and very low latency and low cost at the same time. Instead of for TTS, 11 Labs or OpenAI and other providers are quite good also. Pipecat builds on WebRTC and WebSocket for low latency communication. Okay, and then the Cartesia is the other one, which allows you to build for TTS. Okay, so there are a bunch of API providers, and one of the issues is to figure out which one to use, and for a particular application to balance the latency and the price point. Okay, and then scalability, multi-user support. That's the other thing. LiveKit can handle multiple users simultaneously. Okay, good to know that. And open source, self-hostable. Okay, both these platforms are open source and self-hostable. So Pipecat supports cloud deployment, multiple transport layers. Interesting, LiveKit is one of the transport layers in Pipecat. So if one, so there's a way to, in some way, it seems to subsume LiveKit, but there are other pros and cons for each of them. Alright, so advanced features, let's see what are those. VAD, noise compression, and function calling and tool integration. So some of text LLM features are directly integrated into LiveKit. The interesting thing is that you handling just STT and or TTS, speech to text or text to speech components, is not enough. You need to also do at least a minimal processing of the text, and that's where LLM come in. And so having tool integration in LiveKit is a good feature. Pipecat also has VAD through Celero, and Pipecat flows for structured conversion stage. So as it seems, they have incorporated a state machine based conversational feature, which if your voice driven application gets a little bit more complex, you have to think about these flows and split down the interactions into different flows. And it's good to have these Pipecat flows directly supported in Pipecat. Okay, so that is one thing. Flexibility and customization, vendor neutral. Pipecat is highly modular. This I think on this dimension both are roughly similar. Ease of development, community support. My initial hunch is that LiveKit has a stronger community support, and while Pipecat is more user friendly for Python developers. I have to really experiment with both platforms to figure out if this is true, but my initial understanding is that there's a greater community support for LiveKit, and and finally cost. So both are open source and both support local models. Self-hosting is for LiveKit, and for LiveKit is there, and Pipecat supports local model Whisper and Pipe. So you can avoid cloud API costs for offline use cases, and both are open source. So it's not very clear which of these have is there a cost advantage with either. And finally it gives me a summary which one should you use. LiveKit, if you prioritize performance and scalability for real-time application. I think that's true even for Pipecat. Real-time latency is a crucial issue, and handling multiple users is also. Turn detection, noise suppression, reliability is in the LiveKit. I think it's the same with Pipecat. Setup complexity, we have RTC. That is with LiveKit, while it doesn't say about any setup complexity with. It's easier to rapid prototyping as well, so maybe it's easier to start with Pipecat. And the example use case is one. Again, conversation flows are inbuilt. So for example, in my context, I have to guide users through spell retries or levels, gaming levels. So that is where okay. So probably I'll make a first cut with Pipecat, see if it's actually faster for prototyping. Then it gives me some suggestions for my spell testing apps. Replace pytts with natural TTS, deep grammar Whisper faster, and scalability. Interesting, you have to set up servers for either of them to incorporate them in your applications. And there are, if you want to have a turn detection and without pressing buttons, so more smooth interaction. and then so that's the quick summary of how LiveKit and Pipecat can help, and how do they compare roughly. I look forward to playing with both of them, and comparing how easy it is to build this spell testing app with either of them.